The 328th Airlift Squadron got its start during World War II as an active duty unit, the 3rd Combat Cargo Squadron flying C-47s. Captain or Major John Moriarty in 1943 was the first commander of the 3rd Combat Cargo Squadron. They had a fine combat record and did so well with so few losses that they earned the nickname the Lucky Third. Our knowledge of our history with respect to the 3rd was largely lost, but then it was resurrected by one of our flight engineers, Dave Tarnowski, who in the late 90s learned about the history of the 3rd Combat Cargo Squadron and reached out and contacted Colonel Moriarty as well as other retired members of the squadron.
Colonel Sandy Way was our commander at the time, and he asked me to look into getting the mushroom patch made official, and you have to work that through AFRC history. Well, I called him up and he said, there's just no way. But with a number like 328, you probably have lineage to a World War II unit. He did some research, and I went into a locker in the locker room that had a disorganized pile of squadron history and memorabilia. And I went through that and I found a World War II roster of the 3rd Combat Cargo Squadron, our original squadron. And it indicated that Colonel Moriarty was the commander. And then a little bit further into digging through that locker, I found just a piece of notepaper. It said Moriarty, and it had a phone number. I said, well, he's in his mid-80s. What are the chances that this phone number would even work? So I called up the phone number, and his daughter answers the phone. And she said, we're just moving Daddy out of this house. In a couple of days, this phone number would have been disconnected. So it was just a stroke of luck, and she handed the phone to her father. So we had planned in September of 2001 to have a dedication ceremony of the airplane. And I had been corresponding with the World War II guys right along, so they were aware that this event was coming up. Funny story though, one of his World War II pilots who hadn't seen him since they disbanded in 1945, Lieutenant Cecil Bailey, told me, he said, Dave, he says, I know this is silly for an 85-year-old man to say, but I'm intimidated about meeting him again. Apparently, Colonel Moriarty was a very fair, by all accounts, very fair but stern commander during World War II. But he had the plaque made for the front of the C-47. He had some street signs named. We named a street after Colonel Moriarty. I don't know where it came from, but once I started talking to these guys and realizing the significance of their contribution, I had a passion about it. I couldn't let it go. Even though we were generations apart doing basically the same mission, there were more similarities than there were differences. Truly members of the greatest generation, every one of them.
Dave Tarnowski and I tried to make the squadron very aware of their history with the reunions and the things we did with these men. I think knowing your history and the sacrifices and the accomplishments made by those who came before you serves as both an example and an inspiration for your own performance. You see how good you can be, and you also see sort of an expectation for you to live up to carry on that tradition. I tried to be the best squadron commander I could. I tried to make a difference. I think I did, but I am certainly no Colonel John Moriarty. He was a personal hero of mine, and I miss him very much already.